So picture this. You're sitting there, maybe with a laptop or desktop that's, a few years old. Still works great, right?
Hmm.
But then you hear the news Windows 10 support. It's ending. And Windows 11.
Yeah, those hardware requirements.
Exactly. Suddenly your perfectly good machine feels like it's being pushed towards becoming e-waste. It's really frustrating.
It really is. You feel kind of forced into an upgrade you don't actually need.
Right. But what if there's another way, an alternative that gets you out of that walled garden feeling, something with more freedom, maybe better efficiency, and serious customizability?
And that's where Linux comes in.
Precisely.
And today we're going to take a real deep dive into one specific, very welcoming part of Linux,
Okay.
Kubuntu.
Kubuntu. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically the Ubuntu operating system, which is super solid, but it comes packaged with something called the KDE Plasma desktop.
Okay. KDE Plasma.
And our mission today really is to unpack how Kubuntu, with this KDE Plasma environment, offers a path that's, well, surprisingly easy, powerful, and maybe even familiar for folks thinking of switching from Windows.
Familiar. Okay. I like the sound of that. You might have some real aha moments here about what Linux can actually do.
Absolutely. It might just change how you think about your computer.
All right, let's dig in then. So the biggest immediate trigger for a lot of people is that Windows 10 end-of-life thing.
Definitely.
It really does feel like a push towards Windows 11.
It does. And it's not just about getting the newest version. It's those stricter hardware requirements for Windows 11 that are the real kicker.
Right.
We're talking about machines, perfectly good computers that could work for years,
Yeah.
suddenly being labeled obsolete.
Yeah, it feels wrong.
It is. And it's more than just inconvenient or costly for you, the user. It directly feeds into this huge global problem of e-waste.
That's a really important point, sustainability.
Exactly. It's forcing upgrades when we could be more resourceful.
Which is where Linux comes in as that escape hatch, maybe, giving older hardware a new lease on life.
Precisely. You get efficiency, you get control back, and often, a much more productive life for hardware you already own.
Okay, so when we say Linux, it's not just one thing, right? It's more like an ecosystem.
That's a good way to put it.
And you mentioned the desktop environment. For someone maybe new to Linux, what exactly is that? What part of the experience are we talking about?
Okay, think of the desktop environment as the visual part you actually interact with. It's the graphical shell.
So the taskbar, menus, icons.
Exactly. How Windows look and behave, the overall aesthetic. It's the face of the operating system, the GUI, the graphical user interface.
Gotcha.
And this is why KDE Plasma, the one you get with Kubuntu, is such a great starting point if you're coming from Windows.
Because it feels familiar.
Very familiar. It's kind of designed that way. The taskbar layout, how system settings are organized, where your icons go, even switching between dark and light modes. It's all very, very Windows-like. Which is quite different from, say, GNOME. That's another popular one. But it often feels more like macOS, more minimalist.
Okay.
So, yeah, for a Windows user, KDE Plasma really bridges that gap. It feels comfortable right away.
Okay, now this is where I think it gets really interesting. Customization. A lot of Windows users feel kind of locked in, limited in how things look or work. Does KDE Plasma really tackle that?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of its biggest strengths.
And crucially, can you do this without being a programmer? No coding required.
Zero coding required. That's the beauty of it. You can change everything. We're talking global themes. You can switch the whole look with one click. Think classic styles like Oxygen or the Modern Breeze theme.
Okay.
Or you can browse and install completely new themes right from KDE's own online store built right into the settings.
Wow. Okay.
You could even do things like set wallpapers that change with the time of daylight in the morning, dark at night, automatically.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, you can tweak individual buttons, icon sets, how the window borders look.
Yeah.
The level of control is just incredible. It's great for new users who just want something fresh, but also for power users who want to dial everything in perfectly.
That sounds amazing for making it your own. But what about performance? How does all that fancy customization stack up against Windows 11, especially on, say, older machines?
Right. This is another huge win for KDE Plasma. It's significantly lighter on resources.
Lighter. How so?
Well, take RAM usage, for example. When it's just sitting there, idle, KDE Plasma uses about, let's say, 1.7, maybe 1.75 gigabytes of RAM.
Okay. And Windows 11?
Windows 11 is typically around 3 gigabytes, sometimes more.
Whoa, that's almost double.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Think about what that means on a laptop with maybe only 4 or 8 gigs of RAM total. That difference is huge.
Yeah, that's the difference between smooth and sluggish right there.
Exactly. Plus, little things add up. The application launcher in KDE, it's way faster and lighter than the Windows Start menu, which, believe it or not, is built with React Native.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, kind of a heavy choice for a launcher. So all these things combined mean KDE Plasma generally feels much smoother and more responsive, especially on hardware that might struggle with Windows 11. It really does give your hardware a performance boost.
That's a really compelling point, especially for older gear. Okay, so the desktop experience is customizable and fast. What about the tools you need every day? Does Kubuntu leave you hanging, or does it come with useful apps?
Oh, it's far from bare bones. Kubuntu includes a really strong set of KDE applications right out of the box.
Like what?
Well, you get Dolphin, which is its file manager. It's super powerful, very intuitive. You'll feel right at home if you use Windows Explorer.
Okay.
Then there's Kate. That's a text editor, but it's way more capable than Notepad. Really good for notes or even some light coding if you're into that. And if you do any kind of multimedia stuff, it often includes Kdenlive.
Kdenlive. Video editing.
Yep, a surprisingly robust, almost professional-grade video editor. It's really impressive.
Wow.
And here's a really key thing. A lot of these KDE apps, like Kate and Kdenlive, they actually run on Windows too.
Oh, really? So you could try them out before switching?
Exactly. You could download them on your Windows machine right now, start using them, get familiar. It makes the eventual transition to Kubuntu feel even less daunting.
That's smart. Very cool. Now, you also mentioned making devices work together. There's something called KDE Connect. How does that work?
KDE Connect is brilliant. It's all about linking your phone and your computer seamlessly.
Okay, like what can it do?
Well, you can use your phone as a wireless mouse or keyboard for your PC. Great for presentations or just controlling media from the couch.
Yes.
It shares your clipboard. Copy something on your phone, paste it instantly on your computer, or vice versa.
Oh, I need that.
Right. And file transfers become super easy. Just send files back and forth wirelessly. No cables, no uploading to the cloud first.
Okay, that sounds incredibly useful. Really ties things together.
It really does. It makes your phone and desktop feel like part of one system.
All right, let's shift gears slightly to something a bit more technical but important for the future. We hear about Wayland versus X11 in the Linux world. What's the deal there?
Yeah, that's about the underlying display server technology, basically how graphics get drawn on your screen.
Okay.
X11 is the old guard. It's been around forever. It's stable, but it's, well, old technology. Wayland is the modern replacement.
And why is Wayland better?
It generally offers smoother rendering. Things just look a bit more fluid. And it has big security advantages because applications are more isolated from each other.
I see. Is it ready now? Like, fully baked?
It's getting very close. KDE Plasma's support for Wayland is excellent now. They've made huge progress, even got Session Restore working recently. There might still be the odd compatibility issue with some really older specific apps, but it's much rarer now.
And X11 is still an option in Kubuntu for now?
Yes, with KDE Plasma, you can usually choose which session to log into Wayland or X11. But the key takeaway is that the whole Linux world is moving towards Wayland. Some environments are even starting to drop X11 support completely. So Wayland is definitely the future. It promises an even better, smoother experience down the line.
Got it. So let's bring this all together then. What does this whole deep dive mean for you, the listener? It really sounds like KDE Plasma, maybe through Kubuntu, gives you that polished look, maybe even some eye candy like Windows.
Definitely.
But without those restrictive hardware handcuffs.
Precisely. Kubuntu provides a really smooth, familiar way in for anyone thinking about leaving Windows behind. It's a fantastic demonstration of just how user-friendly, powerful, and frankly, good-looking Linux has become.
Yeah.
And it often matches or beats Windows on performance and customization, especially on hardware that Windows 11 says is, too old.
Right, bringing it back to that e-waste issue.
Exactly. It ties back into that idea of sustainable computing, ethical choices, getting the most out of the technology you already have, extending its life.
So if you've got that older machine, maybe it's in a closet or you're just feeling hemmed in by your current OS, we'd really encourage you, give KDE Plasma a try. Maybe download Kubuntu, run it off a USB stick first.
Yeah, you don't even have to install it right away.
Right. See how it feels? You might be genuinely amazed at the life you can breathe back into your hardware and how much control you get back. It's a real step towards avoiding that unnecessary e-waste and, reclaiming your digital space.
And maybe think about this too. Beyond just installing something new, what does this kind of shift really mean? Moving to open source systems like Kubuntu, It empowers you.
Empowers you how?
It lets you actively shape your digital world, make more conscious choices about the tech you use, rather than just accepting what's given. So the question to mull over is, what does taking back control of your computing environment really mean for you? How do you want it to work?